Hi, this is JB. You know, there's been a lot of stuff on the news and on the internet now about this data theft from Facebook, and a lot of people big important people are doing away with Facebook. Well, let me tell you something. Yahoo had a bigger breach, and so does a lot of other companies. But if you're really interested in preserving your data, this is what you have to do. Unplug. That means you no longer have the internet, cable TV, cell phone, throw all your burn all your credit cards, close all your bank accounts, never put your name anywhere, never give your social security number to anybody. All that can be traced. Social Security shares all their information that you have with other government agencies. They do that to verify what they have. The telephone company records all your messages, and they look for trends. All right, some of it illegal, some of it legal. Trends, not so much what they're doing, but what you do with the phone. Your credit cards have a magnetic strip on the back of it, and that contains all the information pertaining to that particular account. If it's your bank credit card or your bank debit card, it will contain all the information about your banking. It's there. In today's world, people have the equipment to walk by you and clone or steal information from your credit cards. It's out there. It's not that expensive and not that hard to use. You can get apps to do anything you want to clone a phone, so if somebody walks by you, they can clone your phone. It's all about identity theft. People want your identity. They use that identity to go out and do whatever. It's like, I'm sure you've seen this on maybe Miami Vice, was it, or one of the CSI shows, where some woman had their identity stolen by somebody who went dumpster diving and pulled out a bank application, a credit card application for some goofy credit card, and they went and filled it out and had it mailed to their address. Once you do that, once you have that credit card, you can increase your credit rating. It's not your credit rating you're increasing. You're using that other person's credit rating. And you really don't have to pay because you can move. They'll send somebody to your house eventually, and if you're not there, well, they'll ask that so-and-so live there, and they'll say, no, nobody's ever lived here by that address, by that name, even though that address is what the bank has. It's somewhat more difficult to do today, but it's also in some instances easier if they hack your computer. They get in there and your email account, and you get offers on your email account a lot. I get offers on one of my accounts for all the Canadian drug pharmacies and for small loans and all this other stuff. And that's a pretty unprotected email account that I use to go to sites that are questionable. And like I have two companies down here I buy pet food from. One of them is very, very secure email and everything, and the other one I get all kinds of warnings if I try to enter my email address. That one I use my unsafe email address that I can wipe out in a second. There's no information on there about me. There's a lot about me out there. I write a blog. You've probably all seen it. I write it under my cat's name, Flounder's Great Adventure. It started out as telling you people what Columbia was about, and now it's all about my political views. So, you can read that and find out a lot about me. You can see this and find out a lot about me. You can look and say, hey, he's an old man wearing a dirty old T-shirt. He's probably goofier than hell. It might be, I don't know. But getting back to if you're worried about your data, what's collected out there. Bill Gates once said that, his Microsoft, especially Microsoft 10, collects tons of data on you. And they use that for advertising trends. You ever notice you go to a web page and all of a sudden you're seeing ads for products that you've actually bought within 10 days on a credit card? Well, guess what? That information's out there. Banks share that information. They tell you they won't, but they will. You have to read their privacy statements, which take about 3 hours and a law degree. I think that's one of the things Congress should do is make it more simple for you to understand what these companies are doing with your information. And you can opt to have it done or not done. I mean, some people don't care. I think the majority of people don't care from what I've seen. I'm on the internet. I don't have antivirus anymore. But I don't use Microsoft anymore either. I use Linux, and it's a little harder to get into. It's a little less bothered by people. Most of the stuff that's out there is designed to affect Microsoft programs. If I go and I get an app that allows me to use Microsoft like games on my computer, I'm asking for trouble, and so I don't. So I don't have that many games to play, but that's okay. I wasted too much of my time doing that stuff anyhow. But yeah, this is if you ever filled out an application, I mean that information goes into files on you, and it's used. Okay, it's used by bill collectors if they ever have to come after you. So I know that because I did that for a living. But that information can be used for a lot of things. It's used to. It's what they call. I'm not sure the scientific name for it, but they study the trends statistically to see. Like when you watch cable TV, and you see why should how do they do that? Well, they record what you're doing, and they know where what you're watching at a specific time, and that's how they train. They sell advertising to people. It costs more if there's more people watching a specific type of event or program during a specific time. That particular program can demand more money than one where there's not so many people. I mean, that's what they use ratings for, but that's also, the information from the cable companies now is just as important as those Nielsen ratings that you've certainly heard something about. There's also the bank, like I said, those magnetic strips contain a ton of information. Now it's a chip that's inside the card that contains everything you're doing with the card, where you've been. The cell phones have location analysts in it. They can tell you where you've been. There's nothing you can do that somebody isn't watching. I mean, Bill Gates wanted it all. Google wants it all. They all get this information, and Google's a good example of it. If you use Google a lot, you'll understand that eventually when you go to one of their web pages or something, all of a sudden, for some reason, you'll see an advertisement for a product that you just bought from a company you just used. Well, they're sharing information on you. You'll also get a lot of, if you're looking for certain specific types of information on a subject. If you've researched this subject before, you will get your old answers because they retain that information. It's all used to learn about you. I guess you could say, if you're familiar with the book Orwell's 1984, is the 1984 or 1970, I forget now, but Orwell's book. In it, there's Big Brother's watching you, and it's how they use TV, the cameras in the TV to watch you. People say, well, that can't be done. Yes, it can. Fiber optic cable goes both ways. So they could technically do that to you. They could be watching you while you're having sex, while you're watching porn on your TV. And you could be the next porn star without even knowing it. There's just so much information gathering out there, and the problem that makes it so easy is that people trust all these companies. They trust the internet, they trust the telephone company, they trust the TV company, they trust the supermarket, they trust everybody. And it's just not how it works. These people are business people. Business people sell something. Right now, one of the biggest commodities in the world is information on you. The government wants it to prevent whatever. I mean, Trump is in a position unique for a president. There's so much information about every individual out there that he could stop a revolution months before it ever got started because of the information he has on the government agencies have on people. One of the things that prevents the government from actually using a lot of this information to wreak havoc on individuals is that the various agencies don't talk to each other, which at times is a bad thing. Like in times of a terrorist attack is a bad thing. That's pretty much how 9/11 happened. But in our case right now, when it comes to private information, it's probably a good thing that they don't talk to. The only agencies that I know that really use personal information back and forth are Social Security and the IRS. That information goes back and forth. They tell you it does. The Social Security tells you they share information with the IRS, and vice versa. Because if you make so much money, the Social Security doesn't want to pay you all your money. So that's how they work. They work together, and death records work together. You die, Social Security knows about it, and they want any money that came to you while you were dead, they want back. Okay. I don't mean to alarm people, but yeah, I guess maybe I do. I'm very careful with what I do. The information that's out there, I really don't care is out there. There's not much they can do with it. I'm not rich, I'm not famous, I'm politically active, but, that hasn't bothered me in 50 years, so I doubt if it's going to bother me now. And besides that, I don't live in the United States anymore, so I don't think that it matters to many people what I think. There's about 41 people that actually see stuff that I do, and a lot of them don't speak English, so it doesn't really one way or the other. But yeah, don't worry about things. What's on Facebook. Just don't put. It's like never put your phone number in a post on Facebook unless you want 100 people calling you. Be careful what you complain about, I guess. You want to put yourself out there. Put yourself out there. But check that there are ways to prevent them from doing stuff with your information. Go to their privacy acts. Spend 4 or 5 hours reading everything, find details. Ask somebody, probably a lawyer, the way they write stuff, and then set your privacy settings that way. So it's like I can't share certain things with people, and I can't. People can't share stuff with me. It's just the way it's set. But anyhow, I probably bored everybody. I probably double talked my way through this. Understand what I'm saying to you? There's really no way you can protect your data without disappearing off the face of the earth. So with that, I'll say good night to everybody, and listen, I hope to see you again soon. Take it easy.